Picture this. The lights are low, the text messages have finally been deciphered, the awkward first dates are officially behind you, and you've successfully navigated those late-night 2 a.m. conversations where you reveal just enough, but, never too much.
Right.
You've done it. You are officially together. So welcome to season 2 of your relationship. You've passed the initial tests, but now the real game begins.
It really does.
Because you sent us this massive stack of field notes, personal stories, and we paired all of that with some fascinating new sociolinguistic research on in-group dynamics. Because today, for this deep dive, we are tackling the ultimate relationship boss level, meeting the friends as a non-native speaker.
It is a phenomenal topic.
Yeah.
Because right when you feel comfortable, right when you think the hard part of dating is over, a terrifying new challenge approaches. You are no longer dealing with one person in a controlled environment. You are walking into the arena. And based on the behavioral research you shared with us, this is where so many language learners fall into what sociologists call the group trap.
The group trap. I mean, even just saying it out loud sounds like a horror movie trope.
It can be a nightmare.
Honestly, reading through your notes, for anyone navigating a second language or just an unfamiliar culture, it really is a high-stakes environment. It's completely overwhelming. But why does the dynamic change so drastically the second other people enter the room?
Well, because you're stepping into a closed ecosystem. Here is the reality outlined in the research. When you approach a group of native speakers who have known each other for years, their communication style shifts instantly. They talk incredibly fast, they rely heavily on inside jokes, they use dense, localized slang.
And they interrupt each other constantly, right?
Exactly, they interrupt, because they already know how the sentence is going to end. It is a highly exclusive rhythm. And if you do not have the specific social vocabulary to handle that kinetic energy, the data shows, you will almost certainly fall into the silent partner trap.
Which is... I think we've all either been that person or watched someone become that person.
Yes.
You sit in the corner of the booth, you grip your drink like it's a life preserver, you offer these tight, nervous smiles, and you just nod along to punchlines you absolutely do not understand. You essentially become a spectator in your own relationship.
Exactly, you become invisible. And the notes you sent us highlight a brutal truth about this specific dynamic.
Right, let's look at this from the perspective of those highly protective friends across the table. When you fade into the background and just sit there silently nodding, the group's psychological evaluation of you changes immediately.
They judge you.
They really do. They're looking at their best friend, then looking at you. And the research points out that they start wondering, why are they with this person? They seem so, I don't know, blank. Yes.
That mysterious, captivating aura you built up during those one-on-one dates, it just evaporates into thin air. You lose your leverage.
Which is why the mission of today's deep dive is to take the training wheels off. We are not looking at these notes just to figure out how to survive a complex group setting. We are analyzing the linguistic tools you need to completely dominate it.
I love that.
We are going to look at how to break the ice with the most defensive friends, how to control the frame when they start teasing you, and ultimately, how to elevate your partner. We are deconstructing the exact verbal blueprints of a power couple dynamic.
Which is just such an empowering way to approach this.
Yeah.
But let's start at the very beginning of the night, because reading through the behavioral analysis here, it seems like you can't possibly dominate a group if you fail the very first second you walk through the door. The entrance essentially sets the psychological tone for the entire evening.
The entrance is everything. The first 3 seconds dictate the status hierarchy for the next 3 hours.
Wow. 3 seconds. Just 3 seconds. And the most common mistake documented in these social studies is a fatal one. It is the instinct to hide behind your partner. You walk into the bar, you wait passively for them to introduce you, and you offer this incredibly weak, highly formal greeting.
Oh, like a textbook greeting.
Right. You look at their best friend and say, "Hello, nice to meet you. My name is..."
Right, it's so incredibly stiff. You end up sounding like a robot applying for a corporate job in middle management, not a romantic partner who brings passion and excitement to their friend's life.
Precisely.
But wait, let me challenge that for a second. If we avoid the polite textbook greeting, what exactly is the alternative here? Isn't trying to be the loud, overly funny guy right out of the gate a massive risk?
It is a risk.
Especially in a second language, you really don't want to accidentally cross the line into arrogance before you even sit down.
You absolutely do not want to be loud. Volume does not equal presence. You want to be playfully dominant.
Okay, playfully dominant.
The sociolinguistic term for this approach is a playful preemptive strike. Instead of acting like a stranger begging for their approval, you act like you already know them. And the way you execute this is with our first key phrase.
Really honest.
The moment your partner points out their protective best friend, you walk right up, you initiate a firm handshake or a warm hug, you smile, and you say, "I've heard terrible things about you."
I've heard terrible things about you. It's such a brilliant, unexpected pivot. But if I'm putting myself in the shoes of an English learner, I have to ask, how do you ensure the friend doesn't take that literally? How do you make sure it lands as a joke and not a genuine insult?
It comes down to vocal mechanics and physical framing. The words themselves are hostile, which is why the physical delivery must be exceptionally warm.
Right, the contrast.
Exactly. You must be smiling. But linguistically, notice the delivery of the phrase itself. I drop the pitch of my voice, I do not rush the words, and most importantly, I use a falling intonation at the very end of the sentence to show absolute certainty. I've heard terrible things about you.
That falling intonation is so crucial. It completely cuts through the tension. It's this beautiful deployment of dark sarcasm. Because obviously your partner has only said wonderful things about them, or else you wouldn't be standing there.
Right.
But using that slight edge shatters the awkward, formal politeness that usually ruins first introductions. And looking at the psychology notes, it actually flatters the friend, doesn't it?
It flatters them immensely.
Because it proves your partner talks about them behind their back in a highly familiar way. It shows you're already entirely in on the joke.
Precisely. You are establishing yourself as an equal. You are not a nervous outsider applying for the position of boyfriend or girlfriend. You are someone who can handle banter. But the entrance strategy does not stop at the introduction. Once you have broken the ice and the initial laughter settles, the research indicates you need to immediately establish physical independence.
Yes, the concept of spatial independence in these notes is absolutely fascinating.
It is a critical maneuver.
Yeah.
So after those initial introductions, you need to physically separate yourself from your partner. You step away to get a round of drinks, or you go to the bar to close a tab. And as you walk away, you look back at the group and you deliver the second key phrase. Don't talk about me while I'm gone.
Spoken over the shoulder, with just a little smirk. Let's unpack exactly why this works so beautifully from the group's perspective.
Please do.
Because according to the sociodynamics research we're looking at, when a group evaluates a new partner, their biggest secret fear is that the newcomer is going to be clingy.
Yes. Lost puppy syndrome.
Exactly. What the studies define as low-status signaling usually involves a partner who clings to their significant other all night. They sit too close, they refuse to join other conversations, they basically act like a lost puppy. But when you willingly walk away...
It shifts the dynamic entirely.
Right. When you proactively give the friend space alone with their best friend, it demonstrates immense confidence. And leaving that funny little instruction behind, don't talk about me while I'm gone, it leaves this highly charismatic echo in the room while you aren't even physically standing there.
It is a frame control technique. It gives them permission to talk about you, which realistically they were going to do the second you walked away anyway.
Oh, 100%.
But now they are doing it on your terms. You have playfully acknowledged the elephant in the room.
Okay, so creating that physical distance buys you a moment of independence. But the real reason you do it is to build tension for what happens when you finally return to the table. You hand out the drinks, you sit down, and you have to face the inevitable, the interrogation phase.
The interrogation is where the majority of relationships face their first real stress test. The friends are going to probe. They want to know your background, your intentions, and your history with their friend.
Of course they do.
And the linguistic mistake here is answering their questions like a suspect sitting in a police precinct.
Right under the bright lamp, just nervously sweating out the facts. But wait, shouldn't you just answer their questions honestly? Isn't the point of this phase to let them get to know the real you?
Honesty is required, yes. But giving raw, unfiltered data is boring. They ask, so how did you guys meet? And the nervous learner provides a dry, factual report. They say, oh, we met on a dating app in October. It was a Tuesday afternoon.
Oh, wow. It's so incredible dry. It completely kills the romance and the mystery of the origin story. So how do the notes suggest we twist this? How do we playfully throw our partner under the bus and turn a mundane fact into an actual show?
The strategy is called playful exaggeration. You never just surrender the data. You twist the narrative to playfully frame yourself as the prize.
Okay, I like where this is going.
When that highly skeptical friend leans in across the table and asks how you met, you take a slow, deliberate sip of your drink You look affectionately at your partner and you say our third key phrase. They actually chased me for months.
Huh. Just thinking about the dynamic that creates makes me laugh. Because even if you met on an app like Tinder or Bumble and it was a totally mutual, instantaneous swipe, this playful arrogance forces a reaction. It's a theatrical provocation.
It forces a response.
Your partner is going to immediately roll their eyes, they're going to playfully hit your arm, and they're going to defensively say, "No, I didn't. That is absolutely not what happened." And suddenly, you've created an instant, highly entertaining dynamic for the whole table.
Yeah.
The friends aren't just listening to dry data anymore. They're watching a romantic comedy play out right in front of them.
You are giving the friends a performance.
Yeah.
You are demonstrating in real time that you two have genuine chemistry, that you can safely tease each other, and most importantly, that you do not take yourselves too seriously.
Right.
But you must be prepared. The interrogation will inevitably get deeper. Friends love to dig.
Oh, they love to dig. They want the dirt. They want to know the things your partner hasn't told them yet.
They will ask invasive, potentially embarrassing questions. They will ask things like, who said I love you first? Or what was your actual first impression of them before you started dating?
Those are tough ones.
If you answer these questions with total sincerity, you might expose something far too personal for a group setting. But if you simply refuse to answer, you look defensive, which raises red flags.
You look like you're hiding something sinister.
Precisely. So, the cultural research suggests using an American legal idiom to dodge the bullet completely while maintaining a high-status frame. When the invasive question comes, you lean back, you hold eye contact with the person asking, you smile, and you say our fourth key phrase. I'm going to plead the fifth.
Plead the fifth. It's such a smooth conversational deflection when done right. But let's break down the cultural context for our listeners who might not be familiar with the American legal system. Why does this specific idiom work so well in a casual bar setting?
In the United States, pleading the Fifth Amendment is a constitutional right. It means you legally refuse to testify against yourself because your own words might make you look guilty.
Right.
Using this serious legal concept in a highly casual social setting is a charming, native-sounding way to say, I am absolutely not answering that, while keeping the mood mysterious and playful. You are jokingly admitting guilt without surrendering a single detail.
It's the perfect linguistic shield, but we need to talk about the physical pronunciation here because the delivery is absolutely crucial to pulling this off. You want to sound mysterious, and you want the pacing to be unhurried.
The pacing is essential.
Right, but as an English learner, you cannot let the words melt together too much at the very end. The ending sounds of the phrase plead the fifth must be extremely crisp, that the sound at the end of fifth.
Yes.
If you let the breath die out and mumble it, the joke completely dies in the air. I'm going to plead the fifth. The crispness of that final consonant is what makes you sound confident and in total control of the idiom.
A strong, sharp consonant at the end of the phrase shows mastery. It shows you know exactly what you are saying and you own the space you are taking up.
Absolutely.
Now, if you have successfully executed the entrance and you have flipped the interrogation into a playful dynamic, you are in a very strong position. But listen closely to what the behavioral data says next. We are now entering the most advanced and arguably the most counterintuitive phase of the night.
This is the part of the research that completely fascinated me. The ultimate test.
The ultimate test. Because here is the secret about meeting the friends, backed up by entirely consistent social data. The goal of the evening is not actually to prove how amazing you are.
Let's just pause right there and highlight that, because I think it goes against every natural instinct we have when we're nervous.
It does. The goal is not to prove how amazing you are. The biggest mistake you can make at this stage, what the researchers call conversational narcissism, is trying to be the smartest, the loudest, or the funniest person in the room. If you do that, you are actively competing with your own partner for their friend's attention.
It's exactly like walking onto the stage at someone else's concert and trying to steal the microphone from the lead singer. You might technically have a great voice, but the audience is going to deeply resent you for it.
They will hate you.
Exactly. The friends did not come to the bar to see a solo stand-up routine from a stranger. They came to see their best friend happy. So instead of trying to be the lead singer, you need to transition into the role of the producer. You need to turn the spotlight entirely onto your partner.
You become the wingman. You execute what the notes refer to as the power couple assist. A truly high-value individual in any group setting has an abundance of social energy, and they use that excess energy to make the person next to them look incredible.
Wow.
You do not hold on to the conversational ball. You deliberately toss the ball to them.
So practically speaking, how do we set them up for the perfect shot without making it look forced?
You wait for a natural lull in the conversation. When the energy dips, you look at the group and you use our fifth key phrase. You say, you have to tell them the story about, and you intentionally bring up a cool, funny, or highly impressive story about your partner that you know for a fact their friends have never heard.
You have to tell them the story about. It is such a generous, expansive conversational move. Let me explain the emotional payoff of this from the partner's perspective, because the psychology notes nail this perfectly.
Please.
When you deploy this phrase, you're proving two massive things to the friend group without ever saying them explicitly. First, you're proving that you actively listen to your partner when you're alone together. You remember their anecdotes and their victories.
That is huge.
And second, you're proving that you are genuinely proud of them. By making them the absolute star of the show, you make their friends adore you, because you're showing the group that you recognize exactly how special their friend is.
You are externally validating their own high opinion of your partner. You are confirming to the group that they made a good choice in bringing you around. And once your partner is actively telling that story, once they have the floor and the friends are laughing and engaged, you deliver the final piece of the puzzle, the ultimate verbal anchor.
The finishing touch that ties the whole dynamic together.
When your partner makes a great point in their story, or when they perfectly deliver the punchline of their joke, you do not just nod silently. You do not just offer a weak yeah.
Right.
You look directly at them, you hold eye contact, you use a steady falling intonation, and you say our sixth key phrase, I couldn't agree more.
I couldn't agree more. It's so incredibly anchoring, and linguistically, it's so much more powerful than just saying, yeah, is a closed loop, you know? It ends the thought, I couldn't agree more, is an amplification. It elevates whatever they just said.
It establishes you as a totally united front. It tells the room, without a shadow of a doubt, we are in sync. We operate together. It's the verbal equivalent of putting your arm around them. It radiates quiet power, unwavering support, and absolute confidence.
It really does. All of these linguistic tools flow together to create this unbreakable, highly charismatic dynamic. So let's pull all of this research and all of these field notes together.
Let's do it.
If we look at the entire arc of this deep dive, the true secret to surviving and thriving in the Season 2 milestone isn't about proving your own individual social genius. It isn't about having the biggest vocabulary or executing the most perfect grammar in the room.
No, it is not.
It's simply about showing those highly protective friends that their best friend is in incredibly good hands. If you can walk in and own the room with a little sarcastic bite, if you can make the group laugh during the interrogation phase, and ultimately, if you can step back and make your partner shine like a star, you pass the test. You don't just survive the group trap, you completely conquer it.
You control the energy of the room. You now have the exact behavioral roadmap and the specific social vocabulary to navigate this ecosystem. Do not rush the execution. Deliver these phrases with unhurried confidence.
Absolutely.
Let the pauses do the heavy lifting for you. Remember, you have passed the initial tests. You are exactly where you were supposed to be.
You absolutely have the tools. You know how the psychology of playful arrogance works. You know how to use the power couple assist to completely disarm a group of skeptical, protective friends. But think about this as we wrap up. As you master these group dynamics, as you learn to control the framing of the room and elevate the person sitting next to you, how might you adapt these exact same tools of playful redirection and partner elevation for the ultimate, highest stakes boss battle of them all? Meeting their parents.
A completely different arena.
The rules of that ecosystem are entirely different. Keep that in your back pocket for next time.